On this episode, we let off some steam with a few expat confessions.
So if you're like us and have never done some of the basic things an expat is expected to do, you'll get a kick from this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 on a vacation and never left because I traded my passport for a bowl of kway chap noodles from Nai Lek Uan in Yawarat. I gotta say, it was worth it.
I gotta say, it's probably worth it. It's probably worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 22 years ago. Fell in love with explaining to my students that smiling in class does not actually count as participation. So I never left.
Well, just being there is enough, isn't it?
Well, that's what they think. You know, I gotta teach them otherwise. And it's taken a long time for it to sink in.
Right.
You know, I got new students every year, so it's the same lesson over and over again. We want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get our ad-free regular show a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about the increasingly crowded attractions around Bangkok due to a steadily growing number of tourists, Greg's adventures taking his mother around Bangkok despite her decreased mobility, and a brief explainer on Thailand's new home brewing law, which frustratingly landed right in the middle of something awesome and something lame. To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
That's right. And as always, if you have a comment, a show idea, or just want to say hi, head to bangkokpodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail that we'll play on the show. Before we get started, two quick things I want to get into. Ed, on a recent show, we were talking about, I think it was a love, loathe, or live with. I brought up the topic of leaving a 10% tip.
Oh, that's right.
Restaurants,
sure.
Or tipping in general at Thai restaurants. Most Thai restaurants you don't tip at, but some sort of nicer sit-down places will add 10% to the bill.
Correct.
And we got a really interesting message from one of our listeners from ND. And ND said, I'm a Thai, not from Bangkok, but now living here. Been a fan for a couple of years. You asked your Thai listeners' opinion on the service charge issue. Let me tell you, service charge here is a scam. Thailand has a different cultural background from USA when it comes to tips. Like you said, workers in the West really count on tips, but not here. So service charges included in the bill are designed to take advantage only of guests at high-end restaurants or foreigners. We don't even know if the money ends up in their hands of the workers or not.
Interesting point.
Yeah. So I guess it makes sense, right? You put it on the bill, and then where does the bill goes into the bank account, and how does that money get split up?
Right.
He said, having said that, as a habit, I always check the bill and give 20 to 100 baht tip at a restaurant when there's no service charge as a token of appreciation. Same thing you would do to a car park staff when they help you find a parking slot. I make sure that money goes directly into the right hands. So there you go.
That's probably the correct approach. Maybe I'm just lazy. It's just or maybe I came here when I was too old. I'm just stuck in my ways, and I don't always give. I don't always do the math and give 15%. Like in the U.S., I would be sure to give at least 15%. But right. here I just kind of estimate and throw in 100 baht or 40, 50 baht, depending on the bill. But I can't not tip. It's just like I can't not do it.
Yeah, well, a good thing about Thailand is a little show of appreciation goes a long way, so it doesn't have to be a lot.
True that.
And also, man, I want to say this. We got to congratulate ourselves. It's something that I just noticed randomly when I was looking through our podcast host. Recently, I don't know when, but sometime in the last month, the Bangkok Podcast has crossed all-time downloads of 1 million.
Dude, that is an insane number. When you sent me the message, I couldn't believe it. 1 million. I mean, obviously, this is since the very beginning, since 2012.
Yes, since 2010.
Oh, 2010 was the very first show.
With the very first show went up in 2010. So since 2010, we've done all-time downloads numbered 1,002,406, and this was last week when I checked. So
that's insane.
Crazy.
It's crazy, man. So we got to pat ourselves on the back. I mean, and of course, pat Tony and Evo on the back as well, but they're not here. but you're not here. You're not here either. But I can virtually pat you on the back.
We were carrying on a good job standing on the shoulders of giants.
Correct.
Now, someone like, Stuff You Should Know or NPR or Joe Rogan gets that many downloads in a day, but I'm still proud of it. We did a good job.
Shh. Don't say that. Yeah, we don't know anything about that. As far as I know, 1 million downloads in 12 years is amazing.
Some type of record.
Yeah, heck yeah.
All right, well, on this episode, we are going to get personal with some sexy confessions. Okay, there's nothing sexy about them, but we're going to confess nonetheless. Now, after a while in Bangkok, there are certain things that you just sort of kind of have to do.
Right.
Grand Palace, Somtam, Bugs, Tuk Tuk, Rooftop Bar, the list goes on. But to quote Ferris Bueller, life comes at you pretty fast, and there are those of us who, despite having been here for years, have still not done some of the most basic things that someone living here is expected to have done. It's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest. So Ed and I thought it would be fun and healthy for us to get a few of these confessions off our chest. Ed, what do you think of this?
I like this idea because it was my idea, so I like it.
That's a great idea.
And I do think this is a little bit of a tricky thing because on the one hand, I do have just certain things I'm always embarrassed to admit. So that was the kind of the idea of this show. People find out I'm here a certain time, and then I'm embarrassed to admit something that I haven't done.
Right.
So that's the premise. But it's a little bit tricky because, and I know you asked for some suggestions from our listeners as well. Sometimes it's hard to figure out the difference between something that you want to do or wish you had done versus something that you should have done by now.
Right, because a list of things you want to do is different for everyone.
That's right.
And it's not something that a general audience would expect everyone to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes there's some unique, weird thing that you're like, I really want to do that, but I don't feel embarrassed I haven't done it. I just feel like I should do it,
Right. I haven't gone skydiving in Pattaya.
Right. Yeah, but I want to do it. Right. Yeah. And then the other twist is that, honestly, on a day-to-day basis, my most embarrassing confession is that I don't speak Thai. So that's so really the thing that I'm most embarrassed about when this happens. This is a regular thing that happens to me. How long have you been here? 22 years. Oh, how's your Thai?
Right, exactly. I get that all the time.
That's the next question. So, I mean, the problem is our listeners have heard you and I confess. We've been confessing for years about how bad our Thai is. So, but there are some other things that I just feel like I just should have done by now. So I've got a few. Most of mine have to do with like traveling to places that I feel like I should have gone to by now, but I haven't. And I always feel weird. Like, especially, usually with tourists, it doesn't matter. But when I'm talking to another long-term expat and I mention some of the places I haven't been, they're like, dude, really?
Right.
And that's the confession. That's where that hurts when people are like, for real? You've never been there?
Right. You get the same reaction when you say like, hi, sorry, I've never seen a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, what? Dude, you gotta check those out.
Are you kidding me? Right, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's funny because especially because we have this platform now and we opine on
That's
Bangkok
right.
and some would say offer advice on living here. That it is a bit embarrassing when someone says, "Oh, you must be really good with this." Oh, actually, I've never done that, or I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And I was talking about this with someone on I think it was on Discord the other day, one of our patrons, about, after X number of years, as X grows, the expectations that you're familiar with
That's
a
right.
broader range of things grows with it.
That's right.
So like the longer you're here, the more embarrassing these things
Exactly. Of course. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I've got some gaps, Ben. I don't know. Do you want me to begin?
Yeah, I've got some gaps. We each chose 3 things, and we're just going to go through them here. So yeah, you go first.
Yeah. Well, here's something. Here's what I'm going to say in my defense. I was thinking that when I brainstormed this, that I was going to come up with a bunch of different things that I should have done but haven't. And I looked at the list of what our listeners sent in, and I'm actually kind of proud of myself because almost all the things our listeners said, "Oh, I've never done X, I've never done Y," I have actually done. All right. So even though this show was my idea, I now think that I've checked a lot of boxes, more than I thought. I did some Google searches. I did a Google search for must see things in Thailand or what you must do in Thailand. I did a couple searches.
Yeah.
And
I did that too, but it was stupid lists.
No, but it was like 25 things you got to see or 35 things you got to do, and I did them all. Like on all the
Right.
lists, it was like ride an elephant. I did that. It's go to a floating market. I've done it, and I was just like
Right.
check, 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 check. So in my defense, I don't think I've wasted my 22 years. But my first confession is this: I've never been to the country of Laos or Lao, and I've also never been to either Burma or Malaysia. I feel like the Lao one, it stings the most. Because
Interesting.
that's just a classic thing. A lot of people do border runs to Laos, and everything I've heard about Laos is great. Everything. like I remember. I mean, I think one of my buddies went to Laos my first year in Thailand, so 22 years ago, and he was raving about it. And I had heard of Vientiane, but I'd never heard of Luang Prabang. And he was explaining to me, dude, there's this other place, Luang Prabang. And I remember this was my first year in Thailand, and I'm thinking, I got to get up there. And now, 22 years later, I've never been there. And then I've had friends go to Burma or Myanmar and bring back these beautiful pictures of these crazy temples. I mean, some of the most beautiful pictures I've seen in Southeast Asia are from Burma. Just
from
like
Bagan Plain.
Yeah, just like mists like over these temples, and I'm just like, I gotta go. I just gotta go there. And then I haven't. It's 22 years, man. I can't even say it out loud.
It is kind of. I've never been to. I've been across the border into Burma.
Okay.
And I've been to Langkawi in Malaysia, Langkawi Island, but I flew into Langkawi Island, so it doesn't really. count.
Malaysia. I've got nothing against Malaysia, and I know I'd like KL, and I know that you can have like Penang is weird, and I don't feel as bad about not going to Malaysia, but I still feel like I should have been there, especially because it is a truly different culture. So I feel like I'm missing out on something. Whereas, Burma, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, they have the Buddhism thing in common, and there's big differences, but there's kind of overlap between the cultures. Where when you go to when you go to Malaysia, you're like, okay, this is something different.
Yeah. Right.
And so I really feel like I should go. I should go to get the Malay thing. It's just a different thing. I should check it out.
Well, you've got a really good reason to go to Laos now, because actually just as I was coming home tonight, a few hours ago, I read a news article on Twitter that they have opened up the first Starbucks in Laos.
Oh, it's funny. I saw that headline. Well, now I gotta go.
Now you gotta go. They have nitro cold brew. I'm never leaving.
Dude, I spent too much time in Starbucks already, but that is pretty funny. I will find out. I'll send them a message and see if they have nitro cold brew. If they do, I'll consider going to Laos.
Right. I do have to say I have been to Vientiane and Luang Prabang, and they are amazing.
Everyone says that. I knew this 22 years ago, and I just have never gone.
Still doesn't change the fact you've never been. Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. What can I say? Yeah. All right, hit me, man. Give me one.
All right, mine is something that I think actually this is a little bit opposite of what I said earlier, because the older you get, sort of the less likely that you're supposed to go here, the less expected you are to go to this place. But 21 years in Thailand, I have never been to Wong's.
It's funny you brought this one up, because I had this same problem for years. So I heard about Wong's, and I know all these people who hung out at Wong's, and it was like the late night place, and it started getting annoying to me. I was like, Wong, why is everyone freaking talking about Wong's? And then I just happened to have a buddy who lived close, like off of Satorn, and I went. So I don't know how long it was, but there was a long period of time where I was like, what's Wong's? It can't be that big a deal. But then I ended up starting to hang out there. So there was a window of about a year or two where I went there a bunch. So I can say that I've been to Wong's.
Okay, that's good. Well, for those that don't know, Wong's is sort of this legendary place that kind of opens at 2 a.m. And doesn't really start to get going until like 4. And there's all these insane people that randomly show up, and it's just like these endless stories that come out of Wong's of people and things that happen in the wee hours of the morning when alcohol is involved.
Like I said, I've been there, and it's a cool place, but it's definitely one of those places that it just gets a reputation. It's not like you go there and you're like, wow, this is amazing. It's not like that. It's just it's kind of a hole in the wall. It's got personality. It's got character. So it's just a legendary place, but it's not as if the place itself, it's just the right people were there, late night, and it just has a vibe and it's a scene. But when you go there, it's not It's not like, oh, this is so cool, it's so different. It's not like that.
Right. I almost went there one time. The closest I ever got to going, this was years and years ago. And if a friend of mine, I don't think she listens to the show, but if she is, she'll know who she is. But we were in the taxi going from one place. We're like, let's go to Wong's. It was like 2 a.m. Okay, great. So we're on the way, and on the way to Wong's, in the back of the taxi, she's like, oh no. And then she opened up her purse and puked into her purse.
Oh, Jesus.
And that was the end of the night. So I never went.
You were like, damn it, I really wanted to go to Wong's. I'm gonna check that box.
yeah. But I ended up having to take care of her. But
very funny.
Anyway, all right. What's your next one?
Well, my next one is travel. To be honest, my confession is all of mine are travel related because for some, you and I know so many travel people that like I always feel guilty because it's always places I haven't gone. But I've never been to Sukhothai, and it's just another one of those places. It's a little bit like Burma in that I just see these incredible pictures from Sukhothai. It's kind of like a Utia times 10 or something,
Right.
And I like that stuff. Like I'm not a big fan in general. I'm not a big fan of tourist attractions in general. And I got to be honest, I've said this. I'm not a huge fan of Thai temples. I mean, I think there's certain ones you should go to. You probably should go to Wat Phra, you should go to Wat Po, but then beyond that, I feel like temples get repetitious, and so I'm not one of those guys that I go to a new town and there's a famous temple here, so I got to make sure I go there.
Right.
I'm like, no, it's
exactly.
it's like going to it. To me, it would be like you're a tourist in Chicago and you're like, well, I got to go to St. Andrews.
And there's another church down the street.
Yeah, no. I don't think tourists do that. Like they don't. Like when they're like, I'm in Kansas City. Well, I better go to St. Thomas's. Like I don't think
St. Thomas's.
Like I don't think they do. I don't think that's how it works. Like I don't know why. I don't know why I have to go to like a temple in every new town I visit. So I've never been a big temple guy. But I love Ayutthaya. I love Angkor, and Sukhothai is right in between. So like there's Ayutthaya, which is like a taste. Sukhothai is like 10 times more than that, and then Angkor is 10 times more than that.
Yeah, Angkor is like the big daddy.
Yeah, and so I have been to both Ayutthaya, of course, and Angkor, but man, Sukhothai, it's not that far. It's 10 times more than Ayutthaya, and I don't really have an excuse. I just want to go there, and I haven't, and I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
And
I was there. I was only there once, and that was a year when I first came to Thailand. I was taking the train back to Chiang Mai when I was living there at the time, and I stopped off in Sukhothai and spent the day putting around on a motorcycle, and it's impressive, man, really impressive. My favorite temple is there, and I mean it's like not like a normal temple; it's a ruined temple. You've definitely seen postcards of it. It's Wat Sichum with this like a small temple with that big Buddha that you sort of have these photos looking up past his hand.
Yeah, I love to
face.
take pictures. It's like Sukhothai is just one of the most photogenic places. Does that make sense? Can a place be photogenic? It's just one of the most easiest places to take a great photo. I love to take pictures, and I've never been.
We should start doing like the Bangkok podcast field trips. Like we're going to Sukhothai.
Heck yeah, I'm in. I'll do that. As long as we only go to places that I haven't been, then I can check them off.
That's funny.
All right, okay. Give me something else. You are embarrassed or you're confessing to.
All right. Well, 21 years, and I really love. I always say I'm not a beach guy, but I do love the ocean. I love swimming. I love water, but I have never learned how to scuba dive.
Oh, it's funny. I think if you were here a year or two, I don't think you would have to make that a confession. But I'm with you, dude. You should have done that by now.
Did you do it?
I did. I think I was here about 3 years, but it was one of those things. Like you're right, it's on the list. It's on the list of things. If you live here, it's just it's like I said, it's not. I wouldn't say it's in the top 10, but it's one of those things. Like if you've been here a few years, scuba diving is such a big part of island culture.
Right.
Just like and beach culture. It's like it's huge. It's just huge, and there's ample opportunity to go, and it's not that expensive. And it's a cool experience. So I do think it's something that everyone should do. I mean, even tourists, if you're, maybe not if you're here 10 days, but if you're a tourist who's like, hey, I'm going to be here 3 weeks, I would be like, you should probably do a 2 or 3 day, PADI course or something. It's worth it. It's just cool and it's interesting and different. So you should be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Greg.
So somewhere between 3 weeks and 21 years.
That's right.
I definitely need to fit it in.
You should have figured out how to squeeze it in there. You just had a
You know
little
how it
bit.
is. You get busy.
But isn't it weird how like when you miss something, then if you miss something in the first couple of years, it might be 20 years. It's like that's how I feel about Laos. It's like because I wanted to go to Laos in 2001. And then if I didn't go by 2004, well now okay, it might be 20 years.
Yeah, and I always kick myself because I'm thinking like if I ever come back from like say I move back to wherever, I move out of Thailand after 25 years and I lived in Thailand for 25 years, never learned how to scuba dive. That's
right.
like say you lived in Canada for 25 years and never saw snow. Like,
That's right.
What do you do? What are you talking? Or never went tobogganing or something like that.
Well, the thing about scuba diving is, you do have to pay some money, and it does take a couple days. I mean, it's not just like a 2-hour thing. Oh, I went and I shot a handgun. It's not like that. So it's a little bit of a commitment, but not that much. It's like if you just have, a week in the islands, you could do it fairly easily. So I do think it's worth doing. It's one of those things. Like again, there's a lot of tourist stuff where I tell tourists, no, it's not really worth it. But I think scuba diving is cool. It's just cool.
I gotta say, there's a small part of it that's. You remember that movie Open Water?
Oh yeah, man.
Based on the true story of the boat that left those two scuba divers.
No,
out
it's a little bit
in the middle
scary.
of nowhere.
It's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, that keeps coming back to me. So,
dude, you're so big they'll never forget you. They'll never leave you.
Yeah, man, I'm a tasty morsel. All the sharks will be looking at me
from far away. They're going to be like, "That huge? Oh, is that Greg over there? That huge white thing?" They'll never leave you behind, dude.
I guess that's comforting.
All right, my last guilty place that I haven't been, and this is a little bit more unique to me, is that I've never been to Pi. And there's a lot of people who might be like, well, that's not big a deal. Like Pi's not that, like it's not that big a place. Listeners, in case you don't know, Pi is a smaller town. It's kind of outside of Chiang Mai, or it's kind of in between Sukhothai and Chiang Mai. Is that accurate? I think that's roughly accurate. Or maybe in between in between Mae Hong Son and Chiang Mai. The reason I feel embarrassed that I've never been to Pi is like the hippie capital of Thailand.
Totally.
It's just the hippie place. And I don't know if I qualify as a hippie, but I identify as a hippie, and it's
right.
I'm a hippie at heart, at least. Those are my people.
You have a ponytail. That's your
I got the
credential.
ponytail. I'm a quote unquote liberal, spelled LIBRUL, liberal college professor. So those are my people. It's my tribe.
Those are the people up there complaining about all the stuffy suits down on Khao San Road.
That's right. No, it's like basically Pi is like Mecca for hippies. So
totally.
Every Muslim has to go to Mecca at some point in their life. They got to do the Hajj. They've got to make the pilgrimage. And so I have to make a pilgrimage to Pi, and I've never done it. I'm like an aging, allegedly religious Muslim, and his friends are saying, "Well, when did you do the Hajj?" And he's like, "Well, I've never been to Mecca." And they're like, "Oh my God!"
How things get.
They're like, "How old are you again? You've never been to Mecca?"
Well, I've only been to Pi once. No, actually, I've been there twice. First time I was working on a movie that was shot up there.
Don't embarrass me. You're embarrassing me, man. You're rubbing it in.
I'm just telling how it is. Speaking truth to power.
I see.
Yeah, I shot a movie up there, and we had a great time running around there as a movie crew doing crazy stuff. And then another time I went with my then girlfriend, now wife, some friends. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Definitely worth the trip, man. Although I will say, everyone who goes to Pi says like, "Ooh, you got to be careful with the road up there." Everyone gets car sick on the way up.
Oh, because the road is bumpy.
So windy. It's just like this million winds.
Gotcha.
Going up the thing.
When people see my ponytail and then they ask me if I've been to Pi, and I say no, it's pretty harsh.
They get out the scissors. Cut that ponytail off.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to keep the ponytail.
You don't deserve it. They rip your ponytail merit badge off.
It's funny. Very funny.
All right, so my last one is something that's, it's not, I guess, I don't know if you should be expected to do this, but so many people do it. But it's just never interested me in the least, and that is taking a Thai cooking course.
Okay, I've actually never taken a Thai cooking course, but I have cooked a lot of Thai food, and I mostly YouTube has replaced fathers as we've talked about. So I've watched YouTube videos. Actually, we like cooking with Pai Lin. So I'd like to cook Thai food, and I really think it's you should try to do it. So I'm kind of think you should, again, I'm with this. This is a little bit like scuba diving. But I guess I should probably take a course. But mostly I think you just got to at least try Thai cooking.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not very.
I make a mean tom yum. I'm for real. I make a mean
Really?
tom yum. Yeah. I worked on it I was really into it for a while. I got a good tom yum recipe.
I don't know, man. There's a definite threshold for me when like the mess of making a meal becomes not worth it. I'll just order something or eat something much easier.
Right.
But like it seems to me that I remember our friend Dan, a former guest of the show, who years ago said like, yeah, I cooked this big Thai meal for my girlfriend, and the kitchen looked like a bomb had gone off.
Right.
Like at a certain point, the mess that I'm making is just not worth it for the food for me.
Right.
So Thai food is complicated to make for a noob. So I've just never really gotten interested in ever learning how to do it. Now, I suppose to counter that, to not be a noob, you'd have to take a course to learn how to not be a noob.
I mean, of course, I probably should take a course. But it's a little bit weird. It's kind of like, because I want to try to like reverse the situation. Let's suppose you're a Thai person who's lived in the U.S. or Canada for a long time. Should you know how to make a hamburger? I think probably you should. Like, I feel like you probably should. Like, you should know how to make American food or Canadian food. You should.
Like you got to mix some oatmeal in there to keep the meat from from falling apart.
Well, whatever it is, it's like you can't. Yeah, if you live somewhere a long time, you should kind of learn how to make the local food. I think you should. You get a merit badge for that. So these are merit badges we lack.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just can't imagine putting that much work into something that I'm going to wolf down and be done with in 5 minutes.
It's not always work. Like you should be able to whip up some Thai food just to keep your wife happy, like kai jiao or something. Just it's not all complex.
Or I could just run outside and let someone do it for me who knows what they're doing, and I don't have to do dishes. That's my line of thinking.
Yeah, lazy bastard.
All right, so that's three of our sort of confessions about things that we should have done but haven't done. And
that's right.
I don't know. I'd like to say I'm working on it, but I don't think I'll ever take a Thai cooking course.
I've not given up. I will make it to Laos, Burma, Malaysia, Sukhothai, and Pai. I will go to all those places.
I should try to get to Wong's, but I know I'm going to walk in. They're going to be like, "Who's that guy? Why is he here? Who called Gramps?" So we also sent a message out to our patrons just a couple of days ago and asked them if they had any confessions about stuff, and we got a couple of answers back. So let's just go through them real quickly.
Sure.
Just to get to know our audience a little bit better and see what other people haven't done, what they're embarrassed about, so we can form a connection. So our friend Scott, he says he's never been to Samui.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty big omission. I mean, you got to get to Samui.
Got to get there, Scott. Devin, he says he's never seen a Muay Thai fight.
Ooh, brutal. I did that in the first 6 months, man. Devin, get on it.
Yeah, me too. I got to say though, I did it the first 6 months, and I was like, all right, I never need to see that again. Done. Tick that box. Gene, he says he's never visited J5.
Okay, that's a good. And so I've never been there either. I'm not sure that's something to feel guilty about, but I do think that's on the list, like of a long-time expat. So I get where he's coming from, but it is kind of an exclusive thing. Like there's a wait list, right?
Yeah, there is. Now, I don't think you should feel guilty about not doing it, but it is something you should do.
Yeah,
so,
agreed.
Yeah. Paul, he said he's never been on the Green Mile, the sort of elevated pathway that connects Lumpini Park to the Benjikiti Forest Park.
Oh, that's weird. So you and I have biked on there.
Yeah,
that's definitely worth doing. I think if you live anywhere near there, you should do it. And if you've been there, living there a while, you should feel bad about not doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And I'm surprised at how many people don't know about it. But it's a sort of elevated pathway that goes from Lumpini all the way across the slum behind.
No, it's a must. Yeah, it's a must. It's a must do. It's a must see.
It's a pretty cool little thing. Yeah. Ray said he's never eaten bugs.
I've never eaten bugs. I understand. I don't think you should feel bad about that, but that is a thing on the checklist that a lot of people, when I was Googling stuff, they were like things you should do in Thailand: eat scorpions.
Right? Yeah. Well, scorpions is a bit hardcore.
It's not for everyone.
I've never seen a Thai person eat scorpions. I've seen Thai people eat grasshoppers.
Have I ever seen it? I'm not sure either, but yeah, definitely grasshoppers. You're right.
Right. Kate, who is Thai, I will add, sent me this embarrassing confession. She said she's never been to the Grand Palace.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm not a temple guy. I kind of think you should probably go to the Grand Palace in Wat Po. But the weird thing is, when you're a local, like if you're Thai, that's just like a New Yorkers who've never been to the Statue of Liberty. That does happen.
Yeah, right. And she had some very good reasons. She said, "Oh, I live here, so there's always, next month I'll go, or next month I'll go." And then she learned about how crowded it was, and then all the touts and scammers outside. So she's got some good reasons for avoiding it.
Right.
Omar wrote in. He says, "I've never been on a Klong boat. I've got no idea how to use it and where the stops are, where the piers are."
Oh, that's great.
So he's never really tried it.
That's great. No, I would be embarrassed if I've never been on a Klong boat, because you see them all over the place, and it is part of Bangkok.
Yeah.
So I would be a little bit embarrassed if I'd never done that. Especially, I mean, the bottom line is they can be a little bit sketchy with bacteria infested water, like splashing your face. That's not good.
Right.
But I do think they're definitely worth checking out.
Definitely, yeah. They're getting better too. They're going to have electric boats, at least on Klong San Seb. They're introducing it to some sections of the canal.
I'm waiting. Hopefully,
that'll make it much more enjoyable.
Hopefully,
yeah. Clinton, he says he's never been to Coqueret.
Never been to Coqueret.
Yeah.
Again, probably wouldn't be embarrassed, but that definitely for like someone who's been here a while, you got to go.
Yeah, that's on the like almost all like top 10 things to do in Bangkok. We mentioned something about visiting the island and the river in the north.
For sure, got to go. Yeah.
And finally, Cody, he said while he was as a tourist in Thailand, he went to a temple. But after moving to Thailand and living here for a while, he's never been to a temple while living here.
Okay, well, from my perspective, maybe you should be proud of that. No. It depends. I mean, if he hit, like I said, I think you should hit the main temples as a tourist, and then that's all I'm personally interested in. So I'm kind of on Cody's side here. I'm going to defend Cody.
I don't know, man. I think go as someone who lives here and who's more familiar with things. I think you'll appreciate it on a deeper level than just a tourist. But
yeah, I mean, you can. There is a whole culture of them, and for example, on our bike rides, sometimes we ride through local temples, and that's cool because of the community, and there's a lot of people hanging out there on the weekends and families. So, okay, it is kind of the temple experience, but it's not the temple itself. We're not,
you're right.
We're not like, oh my God, let's take a picture of this temple here that's just like the last one we saw 10 minutes ago.
I don't know, man. You remember that temple up on one of the bike rides by the Bamboo Village? It has the beautiful murals on the wall, and one of them shows this monkey with his nutsack hanging on an attacker's face. I mean, that's worth a photo.
Okay, that's an exception. Okay, that one is worth a photo for sure. No, there are some unique temples. There's that. I forget what it's called, but the White Temple up in Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai.
Chiang Rai, the
White Temple. Yeah, so there's a few unique things. I guess it depends on what he did as a tourist, but I'm gonna defend Cody here.
All right, fair enough. To each his own.
All right.
Anyway, that's good. That's it from our patrons. Thanks, patrons, for writing in. That was cool. So yeah, there we go. That's our confessions, everyone. And feel free to write in and tell us a couple of things that you haven't done, or send us boos or yays, depending on what your thoughts are.
Well, I gotta say, my biggest embarrassment is still my Thai. But other than my Thai, it's just places that I haven't been that I should have gone.
Right. Well, the Thai thing is sort of an all-encompassing, ongoing, consistent embarrassment for both of us. So.
That's true. True that.
Anyway. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we then discuss and decide if it's something that we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we just have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. Last week, we did a segment of Would You Rather, where I asked Ed if he preferred the bureaucracy in Thailand versus at home. So this week, you are going to do a love, loathe, or live with.
All right, dude, this is an oldie but a goodie, and I just re-experienced it literally today.
Ooh.
And I figured, I don't know if I ever specifically asked how much this bothers you or even if it bothers you. So There's the general case, which is, I think in English we would probably use the word hover. It's when Thai customer service people kind of hang around or hover around you to see if you need any help, even though you haven't indicated you needed help, right? So that's kind of the general thing. But I want to be a little more specific. Because when I finished teaching today, I had some grading to do. I went down to Rambutree, found a nice little restaurant, started doing some grading. But when I sat down, the waitress brings a big menu to me. So it's like a substantial, like multiple page menu. She brings me a menu, she hands it to me, and then stands there.
Pressure's on.
And it's just, so this is one of the sub cases of hovering. It can happen in a department store, can happen anywhere. But it's okay. I've got something to say about this. But what's your take? It could be charming. Like, she's just trying to help. Like, does it bother you? Like,
Yeah.
How do you respond when that happens?
Hard loathe. No, I hate it. Leave me alone. When I've made my decision, I will contact you. Yeah.
Okay.
It's unnecessarily overbearing.
I really respect your honesty. I 100% agree. Even after 22 years, I loathe this. Like,
yeah.
Today I was feeling guilty for my loathe. Can you do that? Is loathe a noun? Can loathe be a noun? I was feeling guilty for my loathing.
Okay, there you go.
Because she's just trying to help. Like, I know she's just doing her job. Like, she hands me the menu and she's standing there waiting for my response. And I know that all I have to do, which is I kind of did, but it was through gritted teeth. All I have to do is say, like, "Bap nung nakap," and smile.
Yeah.
And she's going, and 90% of the time they'll walk away. They'll get the clue. So that's all I have to do, is just I can just say "Bap nung" and just smile, and the problem is gone. So it really should not be a problem. It should not be annoying. I should just be filled with warmth and graciousness. But I'm not. I'm like, why are you standing there? Like,
I feel the same way when I go into a Home Pro and I get to the top of the escalator on the second floor and there's like 16 people
and they're just
standing there looking at me waiting. I feel like I want to turn around and go back down the escalator.
Yeah, they're like waiting, looking, waiting, looking. It's just like, stop looking at me.
There's a fine balance between being attentive and being overly attentive. So
and
take a few steps back and give me some space.
Yeah, I'm a hard loathe, but I do have some guilt about my loathing.
Yeah, I can see it, but still, that should be in the training manual.
No, it should. It really should. And I do think this is just a very good example of cultural differences in Thai culture. Then this must be the right thing to do because that's what they all do. Right. But in the training manual, it should say for Westerners, this is a good question. I wonder, so among our listeners, maybe Europeans think differently? I don't know. So,
I don't know.
You Euro people out there, or South American, or whatever, wherever you come
Australian.
from, if you're not Thai and you hear this, is it rude? Because I feel it as rude, even though I know they're just doing their job. She hands me the menu and she stands there. It's annoying.
I wouldn't think of it rude. I think of it as annoying. They probably don't even know it.
Yeah, no. I know they don't know it. So I guess you're right. Okay, whatever. I want to be nice about it. And like, to be clear, as far as I know, I've never been mean to someone who has done this. So I try to just smile and say, I need a minute.
Right.
I try to. But the truth is, like you, I find it annoying.
Right. Yeah. We're on the same page on that one.
It's just the way it is.
Good one.
All right. Alrighty. A final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping support the show. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
Of course we do. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that will feature on the show, or even reach out to me directly on Twitter. I'm BKK Greg. So thanks for listening, everyone. Take it easy out there, and we will see you back here next week.
No doubt.